Happy New Year, happy 2026. It is now 7 o'clock on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. I call this meeting of the Conservation Commission to order. My name is Carl Bischoff. I'm the chair of the commission. We will be following the published and posted agenda. The meeting is both in person and through Zoom. In the case of the Zoom not working properly, we will continue the meeting in person only. The meeting is being broadcast and recorded by Chelmsford Telemedia and will be available on their website and on YouTube. And we have a quorum. We are missing Mr. Garahan this evening, but we will we'll move on. I'd just like to, the beginning of the year, say that the Conservation Commission is chartered to protect our natural resources, most specifically the wetlands, and to manage land held in conservation. So that's why we're here. The only thing on the agenda that of note is that the one regulatory hearing, they're requesting a continuance, so there will be no discussion on that tonight. We can get into the first item on our open session agenda. If there's anyone in the audience online, because I don't think anybody in the room wants to bring something to our attention, there's no one in the Zoom, so I don't think we have any public input on the docket tonight. So the first discussion, or the first item is with the presentation from Mr. Adam Cole from Oxbow Associates on the Warren Pole Meadow Habit Study. So as a little bit of a setup on that, this is, we had asked Oxbow to go out and look at the meadow at Warren Pole and help us understand what the long-term management of that would be, with the goals of really, I think our main interest was biodiversity.
Maximizing biodiversity,
Yeah,
yes.
maximizing biodiversity could be for grassland birds, could be for turtles, could be for certain insects, but
All of the above.
But basically looking at that, what kinds of things would we want to be doing on that, in that meadow? So the meadow is, if you've been there, you know that the main field in the middle, between two stone walls going all the way front from Boston Road to more or less to the back towards, I want to say Acton Road, but it's actually Fay Street in the back. But that's the meadow, and it's virtually all wetland. We had the wetland survey done by Oxbow a couple of years ago, and it's virtually wetland between the stone walls. So it's a perfect place. There's not a lot of parts in this area where there's that much open space that's a wetland meadow. So it's a really nice opportunity
meadow
for that. What's that?
That's an upland meadow.
Yeah, we have an upland meadow on the right side and somewhat the field to the left. But I think it's considered a wetland meadow. Yeah.
Yeah, in between the stone walls, definitely.
Yeah. So is Adam online?
Yes. Hi, Adam.
Okay. Yep, how are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for joining us tonight.
So, Adam,
Yeah.
if you could just kind of give us a short summary of what your findings and recommendations were, and then we can have some discussion.
Sure. So I submitted this back in July, but as you know, I think you all have been busy during the field season and development season, as have I. So I'm happy that we got a chance during this winter lull to discuss this. You summed it up nicely. The objective, as was indicated by the commission, was to maximize biodiversity on the site and just generally look at the meadows and see what could be done to improve them, or with that goal in mind, essentially. So I kind of started with barriers to biodiversity and obstructions that I saw, and this was after a site visit. I did meet with David and a few members of the commission and the Land Stewardship Committee back in May to do a site visit. We've looked around at all the meadows, and we did have a local birder there who noted that they had seen bobolinks recently, and got some input from everybody as to what exactly we might be looking for. But I noted 3 distinct barriers to biodiversity involving the meadows. One would clearly be invasive species, in which the commission has been working with Oxbow to create an invasive species treatment plan on the property, and we've done several surveys to gather an inventory and relative infestation rate for various invasive plant species. So that one's kind of being taken care of. I'm going to skip to number 3 here, which was the channelized and unshaded brook. So Putnam Brook runs through the meadow. It seems as though it was channelized intentionally, probably as a ditch or something agriculturally related at one point. So it's kind of lost all of its natural curvatures, and there's very little vegetation growing along the brook. So I've noted that basically this kind of channelized, unshaded brook is a barrier in the sense that it's supporting very few likely macro invertebrates, benthic macros in the stream itself. The water quality is probably warm, dissolved oxygen rate is probably not great. So I think looking at that brook would be a priority. And then the other barrier I noted was the non-native pasture grass in the meadow. Most of the meadows are dominated by grasses that were planted there intentionally. They're non-native English and European species of grasses that don't host as much insects as native grasses do. Some of the grasses are even considered invasives, like Phalaris arundinaceae, which is the reed canary grass. And a lot of the times what happens when you get non-native pasture grass, it becomes this kind of dense thatch that exists at the expense of other native species that could be occupying the space. And also all that thatch is usually pretty evergreen all year round, and it reduces the ability of native plants to seed. It prohibits natural succession in the field, as was indicated. I guess you guys haven't mown the field in a really long time. And there's not a lot of shrubs and trees coming up, and that's because of this dense non-native grass species that they're obstructing good seed to soil contact. So I came up with some solutions to the invasive species. The 3 barriers, essentially, I came up with some solutions. We can talk about those. And then as extra bit of material, I talked a little bit about potential mowing recommendations, and then also species-specific recommendations for bobolinks and both wood and blanding turtles, which have been mapped downstream of Putnam Brook. And there was one other recommendation based on just starting an iNaturalist project that would be free and a publicly inclusive way to document the biodiversity at the conservation area. So that's kind of the general form of the report, and I'm happy to answer any questions or go through any particular sections that are of interest.
So could you talk a little bit about the, one of the invasive things that we've talked about was the purple loosestrife and the idea of using the, I forget the bug, but one of the
Loosestrife beetles.
loosestrife beetle, I guess is what it's called.
Yep,
And
it's a crescentilla beetle.
something-
Yeah.
That's something Oxbow is able to help us make that happen.
Yeah, I wrote the proposal for that, and we can do that. Yeah, that's a good idea, and it's seemed to have pretty good success because it's a heavily herbaceous, wet meadow. Purple loosestrife is going to be pretty prominent as it is on site. So, especially with the land use history, usually you tend to get more invasive species in old farms and things like that. So there is quite a bit of purple loosestrife, and yeah, we would be happy to help work on releasing the beetles.
Well, and we have the grant application in
Okay,
to help fund that.
okay. Anyone else have questions, comments? Peter?
Hi, Adam. Peter here. Nice to meet you, and thanks for helping us. Just a quick question. On the mechanical disking and scraping option, you, I think, rightfully pointed out compaction questions. about how that, whether or not, whatever method is chosen might cause further compaction of the soil. And my question is, that field has been worked since what, John? The late 1600s.
Yeah.
Is any compaction that might occur from this kind of a eco-restoration, is that pale in comparison to a couple of centuries of tractors and horses, or is it still a concern? And what can you do about that?
Well, usually the equipment that's doing that, it's the compaction is, it's really agricultural equipment, which you don't really want compression on agricultural fields either. So you will get a certain degree of compaction based like on underneath the location of the tires. But generally it's meant to, and this is the disking in particular, scraping. It all depends on the machine that you're using, basically. And I would say compaction's not a huge concern, especially with probably the land use history. And I think, yeah, it's probably a more minor concern.
All right, thank you. And I would like to just comment very, very quickly. I really liked your summary memo. It was, I thought, well thought out and well put together, and I understood it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have just a couple questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
So, Adam, is it so the reason that in particular shrubs like elderberry or some of the dogwoods, the dogwood species, aren't growing up along the edge of the stream, just naturally without having to do any active planting. So you think that's pretty much because the non-native pasture grasses are kind of just preventing that?
That would be probably, that'd be the most likely, guess, I think. It's hard to say exactly why that isn't happening, but that does seem, in my experience, to be a pretty big barrier to restoration. Which is why the stakes are nice, because they can be driven right through that pasture grass.
The plugs you're talking about?
Live staking. So actually, plugs would be in soil, grown in soil, versus live staking, which is a cutting that's driven into the soil.
So the plugs would be small first-year transplants, you say in your memo, and is that the same for the staking, the live staking?
So there's no nursery production around staking. You just cut the stakes and then hammer them into the ground. Whereas plugs are propagated in a nursery, either from cuttings or from seed, and they're grown in a potting mix.
So like, would it be better to take like stakes from on site?
That would be the best, yeah.
Okay. Like
And
would that,
cheap.
go ahead.
And the least expensive method of getting stakes, yeah.
And that would work. Say like we noticed when we were out there last summer, we noticed a big native pagoda dogwood. So would it work with that? What would you do? Just cut off
Pagoda?
one branch?
The pagoda dogwood, no. That one doesn't. Yeah, that one is more. Yeah, it wouldn't be good for basically stream bank. It's a little too saturated in those areas for pagoda dogwood. They usually grow a little bit more upland, and while they might be, while you might be able to do those from cuttings, I've never heard of people doing pagoda dogwoods from cuttings. I was thinking more about silky dogwood in particular, red osier dogwood, which is not on site. I believe silky dogwood is on site, and elderberry is on site. And I don't know if there are any native willow species on site. There are non-native and invasive gray willows.
Yeah.
I think there are. I think we did actually identify a native willow.
Yes.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Adam, you probably know this. You can buy the live stakes of what's allegedly Massachusetts native wetland shrubs for pretty cheap money. out at that big giant nursery in central Mass there, New England wetland plants?
Yeah, New England wetland plants sell steaks. Yep, and they mostly do actually have local, or at least Massachusetts local genotype material. So I think that would be probably the easiest thing to do would be to purchase steaks from them.
And am I correct in thinking that obviously we could marshal a bunch of volunteers and collect local stuff, but it seems like we could get a lot more square footage planted with live stakes if we just had a big bundle of 20, whatever we decide on, 20 this, 20 of that.
I agree.
Is that
Yeah, that would
correct?
it would be less. Yeah, it would be less labor intensive, and you do kind of run the risk unless you have somebody present who's good with plant ID of staking or cutting steaks from the wrong plant, because you
Right.
cut the steaks in the winter, so you have to be able to identify the plants in the winter.
Okay.
Right, and I don't know if this is a I'm sorry, Dave, I don't mean to take over, I'll get back to you, but Adam, in your vision of what we might do with this land, or Carl, in the chats that you've had, are we thinking of repopulating like a fair amount of the stream bank if we can figure out how to do it? Not just one or two or three or four or five live stakes, but like 100?
Well, that's what the report recommends.
I think,
you know,
right?
if we want to try and maximize diversity. Now, if we're going to go so far as to change the route of the stream, you know, to maximize it more, then it probably makes sense to hold off on doing any sort of active planning until that's done. But I don't know how likely going in there to reroute the stream is.
My thoughts there are, I don't think I want to go after the money to have a backhoe and make that happen.
Right.
But if a beaver comes in and does it, then
Yeah.
that's free, and it'll still end up going out in the same place.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, if that happens, okay. But and we've had that happen already once, so I'm not going to be surprised if they come back.
I was just thinking that it would seem to be the most likeliest chance for success if the live stakings come from plants that are on site. But to cut live stakings, Adam, that doesn't mean you kill the existing plant, right?
That's correct. Yeah,
But
you do remove a portion of it though. So I think if you're intending to do a larger swath, you know, if you're just experimenting with it, I'd say you could probably get enough on site. But if you're, you know, being really serious about it and you want to do the length of the stream or something, I would say purchase live stakes.
But you mentioned the cuttings have to be done in the wintertime. Maybe we could think about having Oxbow do a follow-up study that just focuses on that particular activity.
Yeah, or a design you mean maybe like how many
Yeah,
stakes
yeah.
and where they'd be planted? Yeah, we
Yeah.
could definitely work on that. Yeah.
So the other question I have, Adam, is, you know, I think we shared with you, and I remember sharing this with Matt, that there was a member of the family in around 1913, 1914, who tracked plants on the site, and I'm sure in the neighborhood. I'm sure it wasn't limited to the site, but let's just say the neighborhood. And it was over 200 plants that she listed. And so would it be fair to say that if we stayed within that boundary, in terms of what, you know, if she found it in 1913, then it's in the seed bank, I think.
That's what Matt said. Yeah, the seed banks, and there were some rare species on that list. He said the seed banks may still be there.
Yeah, it seems, I know if you talk to Matt, your colleague Matt, he would have a copy of that. And it would be interesting to see if there's something in there on that list that's like, hey, we should, you know, try something that's a little unusual and see if we can get it to come back. Besides some of the normal things like elderberry and, you know, some of the dogwoods and the willows that are good along the bush, because we're trying to really increase the diversity, and that might be something, you know, maybe that's something that that would be of interest to a lot of people.
Yeah, I did review that document, and I'd say it's possible. Some seeds only last a couple of years. Some of them can last, you know, over 100 years. So it all depends on the species. But we'd be able to tell from the species what the likelihood of the seeds still being in the bank would
Yeah,
be.
well, I'm guessing, I'm not necessarily saying let's hope for the something coming out of the seed bank so much as saying if it survived 100 years ago there, if it was found 100 years ago, then chances are the climate's pretty good today if we eliminate the agriculture and the cutting, that some of this, if we planted it, if we went out and found, some plantings of some sort and put them in, that we might have a good chance of being successful. So anyway, if there's something in there that you saw on that list that's like, hey, that would be cool to try, I think that would be interesting for us to consider, especially in this wetland area.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to review that list and see if there's anything in particular that jumps out to.
I know that, for example, I think it's Trillium that's an upland, but that's something that's a really interesting thing, and we don't see it much anymore.
Yeah.
But that's usually because the deer eat it, and that might be a challenge to try to keep that. But I don't know a whole lot of other. That's not my area.
Is,
I don't know. I'd like to know
Adam,
more.
is there a way to find old seeds, in seed banks like that?
Not really. You'd really just kind of manage for them, and then they would either show up or not show up, basically.
I see.
Like you could make a canopy opening, or you could fence an area off for deer, in which, you think would be a likely location for Trillium, and see if they come back. But otherwise, you wouldn't be digging around the soil to look for the seeds, unfortunately.
So I think we want to wrap this up here, unless anybody else have any more questions. If we ask Adam and Oxbow to come up with a proposal for us to have a more specific design focused on the Brookside, but not 100% necessarily, but maybe 70-30 or something, because I think we do want to do something about all the what was a valuable hay crop, but that's not a good valuable biodiversity thing. So if we can get a proposal from them to put that together, and we'll come up with some kind of funding to do that. Does that make sense?
We can do
I'm seeing nodding
that.
from David and from Peter and Mark, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Adam, can we ask you to take that next step? Because and in my mind, I'm thinking of, that it's something like, here's, 300 feet of brook or 600 feet of brook, whatever is the right number. And, spacing these things, it's kind of like when you see a, landscaping plan.
Yeah.
Something, it doesn't have to be super specific, but it's just, and let's say this would be, like maybe this would be the deluxe model and this is maybe the Honda model, something like that.
Sure.
And we can figure out what we want to do. We might even say, let's do 100 feet or 300 feet this year, and in 2 years we do another 300 feet or something like that.
Yep, we could do that.
Okay. Anything else?
Great.
Nope.
John? Yeah.
Leave the willows out.
Leave the willows out.
Well, these are different willows.
These are the
They're
good
not
willows.
different willows.
They're the good willows.
There's no good
John,
willow.
I thought John was gonna have a fit when we said we want beavers here and we want willows here.
Willows. I was ready to say, I was ready to say no. Let's bring a D8 in,
So Adam, John is a
strip
farmer.
it, replant it with hay, and have a viable crop, like it used to be.
Would it be prudent to do an area of a certain kind of biodiversity, then another section something else? Or that doesn't follow the plan?
I'd be open to whatever, but I think that's up to Adam to come up with a recommendation. Yeah, I think that's, and to some extent, we can do some experimenting
Right,
here
that's
too.
kinda what
Yeah, we can say, hey, what works, what doesn't work, and that's always the case in landscaping and planning and planting is, you plant this beautiful plant and 3 years later, it's like, well, that didn't last, it didn't like that sun or whatever. But yeah, I think we can come up with something like that.
Well, I think field nesting birds, something
Yeah.
that's definitely, doable. We
Yeah.
should look at.
Yeah.
Question is, how do we go about that? I think the first thing we need is a nesting survey.
Okay.
Nothing's been done there for, I'm gonna guess 50, 60 years, but it still supports deer life there.
Yeah, yeah. They were cutting for the hay, and that was it.
Right.
That was it. Yeah, and that's
There's a
been
lot of
true.
deer there.
Yeah, I see them almost every time I go. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
The thing is, the beavers, if you start planting all these trees and everything else, and the beavers are gonna come in and decimate it in one season. So you gotta keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah,
Beavers aren't your friend.
well,
Remember that.
we might disagree on that, John.
No, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're not your friend.
Okay. All right. Adam, thanks very
And I'm
much,
sticking with
and appreciate the work on this, and look forward to hearing the next step.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam.
Make sure that goes in the minutes, Vivian. Beavers are not your
Not
friend.
your friend.
John Swenson.
John Swenson.
Carl disagreed.
I don't
And
agree.
Carl disagrees,
Yeah.
but beavers
I want
are
it on
not your
record.
friend.
Will a beaver take down a willow tree?
Ooh,
Beavers won't even go
ooh.
near a willow tree.
All right, let's
They won't even go
let's
near
keep
it.
moving on. We have to let
Nothing
things
goes
keep
near a
moving.
willow.
We have the report of the Planning Board Liaison to the Conservation Commission. Good evening, Mr. LaValle.
Good evening. For the record, Chris LaValle, Chair of the Planning Board. So this week, we have a fairly light agenda. We've got a public hearing for Riverneck Road PFAS treatment facility for the Chelmsford Water District. New addition, a new building next to their current building facilities. We also are opening the zoning public hearing for zoning articles we're bringing forward to the next town meeting. We've got the SEAD overlay changes, some housekeeping for that, cleaning up of some dimensional tables in the zoning, changing the permitting of parking garages from the ZBA to the planning board to bring it in line with the parking lots that are in the use table. We are revising the definition of boarding house to align with the new definition of family that we passed at the last town meeting to remove any overlap that might be there currently. We are proposing to add a bed and breakfast definition and use to the use table because we have hotels, motels, and boarding houses, so we figured this would be a natural extension. We are working with Kelly Beatty to revise the outdoor lighting bylaw that he withdrew last town meeting and bring that forward this time. We then have a neighborhood meeting to discuss the Middlesex Street Mill area and putting CBLT, the new zone, in that area. We'll have the neighborhood meeting at this next meeting, and then the following planning board meeting will open the public hearing for that. And then we'll get an ADU report from this past year from Evan in his director's report.
Okay. Any questions, Chris? All right.
Okay,
Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, let's see, regulatory hearing. Okay, notice of intent. This is the New England Power Company at 100 Ecuador Road, and the applicant has requested a continuance to January 27th. David, what's your gut feel? Do you think it'll be asked again, or?
They seem pretty close to
Okay.
having a revised
Okay.
plan, and they promised that they'd get it to me by, the Thursday before the meeting, because that Monday is a holiday, Monday of next week, so I said they could have an extra day.
That's fine. To me, that's
So,
fine.
so yeah, I think they're just about there.
Okay. All right, I'd take a motion, I'm looking around, we're missing our motion man.
Motion made.
I would take a motion to continue the hearing for 100 Ecuador Road to January 27th.
Move.
So moved from
So
Bill,
moved. Second.
second from John, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Next up, continual business, Mr. Spawn, you have an update on a couple of things here in this list here, so.
Yeah, I'll make this quick. Evan and I put a grant application in to do a biodiversity study of our land's Thanksgiving forest and somewhat downstream on River Meadow Brook. It was a state grant program, and the objective is to get an expert to basically do kind of what Oxbow's been doing, to take a hard look at the plant species that are present in that watershed and the lands that the Concom controls, if you will, and land trust. We didn't limit it. What plants are there? What are the threats to those plants going forward? Obviously invasives. But as the climate changes over the next 30 years, is there something we should be paying attention to? For example, the changing temperature and rainfall favors certain trees over others. So if your forested areas are all the trees that aren't going to be doing well in 30 years, the question is there anything we ought to be doing now? Same with animals. And the idea is to give us some actionable info that we can use when we look at both land management and, for that matter, potential acquisitions, but also permitting. So stay tuned. I don't know if we'll win it or not, but there's other opportunities that I'm sure we'll be interested in. And then I had a second thing.
Do you know when you'll hear?
I don't. But
How much was it for?
good question. 50 grand to hire a consultant.
Okay.
Yeah, Evan did the bulk of the actual grant writing just before, well, during his holidays, actually.
Yeah, okay.
So that was nice. I really appreciate that help. And then the second thing is, a couple of us, and I guess it's really David, you, me, and Evan, have been looking at the question of water quality. So our mission here is, you guys know what it is, wildlife habitat, prevent pollution. We don't know if our streams support wildlife. Okay, of course we do. We see the wildlife. But we don't know if there's basically some pollution issues in our streams that negatively affect wildlife. And by wildlife, I mean everything, except beavers, John.
No, beavers.
Everything except beavers. But, fish, turtles, whatever. We had a very good meeting today with a potential partner, and there is a grant opportunity that Evan and I and David will discuss soon. But what I want to share with you is we're starting to build a relationship with an organization called OARS, O-A-R-S. And don't ask me what it stands for, because I don't remember. But they've been around for 30 years, and it's a 10-member board of directors of very senior level environmental type people, and about 5 staff and about 30 volunteers that for 20, 25 years have sampled the quality of the water in the 33 towns, including Chelmsford, that represent the Concord River Basin, Sudbury, Assabet, Concord. You may have seen that acronym. They say SUASCO. But Sudbury, Assabet, Concord River drains 38 communities that roughly parallel 495 from, I don't know, help me out, David, Boxborough or Framingham all the way up through us, and we're at the tail end of that. So 2/3 of our town, all the water drains into the Concord River Basin. And because of that, for about 10 years, they've been sampling our drainage, which turns out all goes into River Meadow Brook, where it goes through Lowell and the Lowell connector. It's kind of Tanner Street. It was channelized.
Speaking of channelized.
100 years ago, right about 495.
495.
Yeah, but a lot of our stuff drains there. Like, remember the ponds that were affected by the tanker spill on Route 3? That drains into River Meadowbrook. So this OARS organization, with they're considered a nonprofit, have been sampling the drainage from Chelmsford for about 10 years, but at Lowell. And if you look at the numbers, which we're not going to get into, but there's certain numbers there that make you wonder about the water quality. And a good example is the salinity. The salt level they're measuring is not good for the critters that live in the mud. So my logic was, okay, since we're trying to make all these decisions about development, we ought to better understand the water quality. And I don't have any preconceived notions. We could end up deciding the water quality is great, which means we don't need to be terribly restrictive on a certain permit, and vice versa. And then, of course, related to that is what are the issues, if there are any. Anyway, the starting point is to get some sampling data.
Get some data.
I don't know. Let me work on this, and we'll see what happens. And then finally, there's a third thing that we were invited to, and thank you, David. You passed the invite to me, but I don't want to talk too much about this one either because it's developing. But kind of the same group has a big state grant to look at this whole watershed And what are the threats over the next 30 years as it rains harder, but then doesn't rain and we get a drought, and then the next year it rains harder? So that creates, disturbances, if you will. Plus the water's getting warmer, and they've measured that, which means it holds less oxygen, which means it's worse for fish. And of course, if you lose your fish, you're going to lose the herons and not the beavers, but the otters, right? So we've been invited to participate in this study, and if anyone's interested, just talk to me offline, because they're not exactly sure where it's going. But I do want to say one thing, which was interesting. The 33 communities involved, there were about 10 of them on a big planning meeting that I attended last week. What's interesting is the main focus seems to be flooding, which it should be, and not so much the other stuff we care about, the habitat stuff. So we'll see what this thing is focused on. It could just end up being a big flood study, and we don't have huge flood problems, I guess, from River, Meadow, Brook compared to Maynard, Hudson,
Oh.
Wayland, or do we? I guess maybe we do. But our floods have been on
Our
like Deep
floods
Brook
are
and other.
nothing like
Yeah.
you see in Wayland, Sudbury, or anywhere down there.
You think ours are,
They're nothing compared to down there,
yeah.
nothing.
they have a lot of channelized stuff,
They
the
got
mills
stuff
and all
going
that.
on down
Yeah.
there that's
Yeah, so I'm just trying to
a
get.
lot of flooding.
So what I'm trying to do at this point, one of us could join the steering committee for this 2-year project. That might be a heavy lift, but at least I want to try to get our voices heard. And David's been helping me, and Evan's been helping me. We've submitted some suggestions to this group of what might be useful to our Conservation Commission here in Chelmsford to better understand this, what's happening as it rains harder and whatnot. So if anyone wants more detail, we can talk offline.
See, what people don't understand, is we're at a major interchange of 495 and Route 3, and the town of Chelmsford, and the amount of salt that gets put down, we're gonna have to put a desalination plant, not a PFAS plant. We put more salt down in this area, okay? If you would do the tonnage rates,
Yeah.
and then anybody smart enough
Yeah.
that could do it,
Yeah.
would say, we're putting way too much salt down.
So maybe I can sign you up. I'm interested
me.
in.
Not me.
No, I'm interested in working on this because, as
No,
you know.
just tell them,
Well, yeah,
build a
but,
desalination plant.
but it's
'cause
an
you're gonna need
interesting, but your point is well taken because our town has cut salt usage.
No,
I don't know what the numbers are. If I had Christine
Okay.
could tell us. But we don't control all the roads.
Or the highways, or.
Well, that's what I mean. So
We
I-
haven't cut salt
I,
usage.
you know,
Don't get fooled by those signs. on the
don't get
highway.
fooled by it.
Low salt area.
Don't get fooled by it.
our signs? Well, no, it's not. It's the brine project I'm referring to.
Right, but with the state.
Salt is
Yeah.
as bad as beavers and willows.
Okay, let's keep moving on.
John, we
So-
agree.
So,
Dude, we agree.
we have been asked if we would like to participate. This is a new item. It's not on the agenda, but we were asked by the Chelmsford High School Wellness Fair Committee if we would like to participate in their, it says biennial, I don't know if that's twice a year or every 2 years, wellness fair that is scheduled for Friday, March 6th, from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock at the gym at the high school. That's an opportunity that they're looking to have different companies, mostly companies that are showing up to talk about, all different healthcare-related stuff. But, from our point of view, I'm a believer that a walk in the woods is good for your mental health. And that's not a bad selling point for us. But I'm not signing up to do a 6-hour thing here and preparing and all that. So if someone's interested in doing this, let me know. We can get back, but we have to let them know by the end of this week. So, not hearing anybody like jumping all over it, but if you wanna do
I did those
something.
when I was in at Chelmsford High, and it's basically like, like giving out free sunblock and chapstick and, screening of sun damage
Swag.
to faces,
All the-
pens, things like that. So I don't think it's any heavy lifting per se, but
Wait a minute. We could
Go
hand out
there
free beavers.
and-
Don't we have
Have you
extra
ever been
beavers?
to one of the wellness clinics?
Yeah,
You don't want to go.
yeah. Okay. So,
We're way beyond.
I don't know, you might be inspirational, eh?
I don't think so.
all right, let's keep moving. Conservation site updates. So Peter, at Thanksgiving Forest, today, I don't know if you knew this, but today they installed the first of the Fisher nests. The Fisher nest was installed this morning, and we're gonna meet tomorrow and talk about the duck nest. But I
Right,
don't know if there's-
1 o'clock. And 1 o'clock, yeah.
I think 1 o'clock, yeah.
And there was a note just now, Dave Sperry wondered if we could have some land trust, and I was going to mention that.
Yeah,
We're going to meet to pick some locations for a couple of duck houses that Jeff Boughton has agreed, or is, wanted to build, and I bought some parts, and he got some parts, and we'll get it done. But I realize that the land trust owns most of the shoreline.
right.
I don't know exactly
Well,
where the property
near,
line is.
near, they certainly own most of it near the entrance, near the parking area. As you go further down, it's our land, but they own like the water. It's
Well,
kind of
that's
a weird.
it. So
yeah,
when you look at the town map,
Yeah,
when you are at Thanksgiving Forest, the parking area, to the left, all the way to the church and Route 4,
yep.
it looks like Land Trust owns a strip of land, well, I don't know if it's land or wetlands, but,
Yeah.
But when you look to the right, the line is right at the pond, and I don't know what that means if we want to put a duck house on the edge of the pond, but it seems appropriate to consult with our partners, so
Yep.
I'll send Dave a note and tell him it's good.
And, yeah.
Okay.
I'm all
Good.
good. I don't know if there's anything else at Thanksgiving.
No,
I don't think so.
nothing is on the radar.
Okay, and then Crooked Spring, Chris did not get there. I haven't been there in a while, but I don't know of anything at Crooked Spring. And you've got Red Wing Farm. I don't know if there's anything going on at Red
I
Wing.
haven't heard anything, but I ride by and I didn't walk into the snow yet, no.
Okay, and then at Lime Quarry.
Yeah, Mr. Bill Robbins had cut down some trees for a bridge project that they're doing up there. I took a walk over there last Saturday, picked up some trash, things like that. There was a there was a car accident. Someone had hit some of the rocks. Incident. That's what I call them, accidents. But at any rate, those were replaced, the rocks on the right side of the parking lot. Some bigger rocks were put there.
David, keep going. Yeah, one
There
more.
was some graffiti also on the sign in
Yeah,
the
there's-
parking lot.
Probably from the
There you
person
go.
that hit
Yeah,
the
so there,
rocks.
I was there, and I took that photo. So it looks, you can definitely see it from the street now. So
Yeah, it's better than it was. It
Yeah.
could still be if we're looking to dump another big rock from
Probably,
Fuller
You
I
know
somewhere.
would
something?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about this.
yes,
I saw the incident, okay?
It was a Sunday, I think, right?
I gotta tell you, why can't we open that back up, get rid of them rocks? Is there a reason other than make it so cars can pull in, but not trucks? Because there's a lot of trucks going up the road.
That's an interesting
I
idea.
think, get rid of the rocks. After seeing that car, I said to myself, this just ruined somebody's day.
Yeah, sure did.
And their car.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
And I don't know if you guys saw it.
I didn't see it, but
I
get
saw
the-
it.
Saw
I
some
said to
photos
myself,
of it, yeah.
I felt bad for the person.
Yeah, yeah.
Was it
yeah.
someone leaving the parking lot? Or
No,
trying to leave the
this-
parking lot?
They
Pulling
went
in
to
to
turn
turn
in
around.
there,
Oh.
and the rocks were so low, you really can't see them.
And it was raining and it was dark.
I think
And
if
it
they
was like,
put
yeah, I
some
get it. I get it.
So, but-
material in.
So if it was raining and dark, then they weren't
No,
planning to use
oh
the
no,
reservation?
absolutely not.
No.
Nope, you can't see them
She was
rocks.
just turning around. She wanted to just turn around. She,
Yep.
forgot something at home or whatever. I'm not quite sure.
And now somebody's on the hook for that,
Yeah, yeah. So
okay?
that's a
Whether
good.
it comes back and bites us or whatever, but I think they could open that back up.
I know that the reason it was closed was there were trucks that were doing it as a U-turn.
U-turn, but
Yeah, and
I don't think that's a big issue anymore.
Well, what about just posting some signage that caution, boulders do not try
well,
to
no,
turn
he's
in.
saying get rid of it and
Get
let
rid of
let
the rocks.
let it be to
And in and out.
a full double entrance, which, to be honest, that end of the parking lot gets, it starts to become overgrown, and then it's,
It is. It
it's
looks
like, well, if
terrible.
we, yeah, I'm not, I think we should give it some thought. We should give it some thought. Maybe there's,
survey.
there might be some way to like put some rocks and make it narrow,
Make it
make it like
enough,
so that,
take
yeah.
them rocks, move them to the right, looking at that picture, move them to the right, and make it just enough for like a pickup to a six-wheeler, turning around. Not a tractor trailer. No tractor trailers are gonna go in there.
Yeah, you make the turning radius too tight or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, just, but I saw the car there, and that bothered me to see
Yeah,
that.
yep. You know, when I heard it, I was like, and then I went out and looked, I went, no, I see how you could do this.
I almost called you about it,
Yeah,
Colin, said,
yeah,
you should
yeah.
go look at that and say, we gotta talk about this. And now we're talking about it, and I think we
Okay.
can move stuff to the right and have the highway department dump a load of gravel in there and make it an in and out again and monitor it. Put a sign out front, no trucks, if you want,
Yeah.
whatever.
No signs.
Going back to the
No signs.
graffiti
No
on the sign, it's
No
on the
signs.
back part of
I
the
agree
sign?
with
So if you're coming from Westford back towards Chelmsford
It's
down
on that
Livingston
side.
Road, yeah, that's, yeah.
And this is it's not the granite one out in the front, it's the
No,
one
it's
on
the
the
one
side.
on the left,
Okay,
yep,
okay.
to the
So
parking
it's
lot.
not, I mean, we cleared a lot of brush so that it's more open, but the brush will come back and probably hide it. And it's not,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
mean-
vulgar or anything like that.
Is it graffiti or is it art?
Yeah, I know.
No interpretation.
Yeah, somebody had fun. Okay. All right, let's keep moving. Anything else that,
No, again, just picked up some trash, spoke to a
Yep.
couple people, that was about it.
okay, thank you. John, the Russell Mill site,
Yep, I think if we can get a boundary line and get that entranceway, straightened out, it will look good, same as here.
yep,
And it's all doable.
yeah,
It's,
yeah.
that's a 2-hour job to have them rocks slid aside, dump a load of gravel and spread it out.
Okay. You
The
want to do
other-
it on Thursday? I can meet you there.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not doing it.
Okay, all right.
Did you get your tax bill this week?
So,
Just
the other
let you
thing at
know.
Russell Mill is they cut
Yeah,
some of the
they-
trees along that driveway, so
But
that's a little
that
better.
driveway is a mess.
Yeah, it sure is.
It
yeah.
is. It's,
Yeah,
you build all this
yeah.
stuff that we talked about, and the neighbors keep asking me, what are you gonna do about it? And I say, I'm gonna tell them, call Kyle.
No, not me. Call Paul Cohen, he's the town manager.
Yeah, and he's gonna call me and say, you tell him to call me anymore.
Who's the town meeting rep? You know, they can,
Yeah,
town
that-
meeting reps, that's not what they're for. That's what the town manager's for. All right, next up is Oak Hill and Deep Brook, so,
Yeah, Oak Hill, there's an issue up there by the bridge near the solar field. The beavers have a nice dam built, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And I think we need to do, we've been watching it, Carl,
Yeah.
you and I, and it's gotten a lot bigger since the last time we were there.
so that looks higher. But if I look at if you go to the other picture, David,
Yeah.
go back one more, right? That one on the left.
It's expanding.
It doesn't, I looked at the picture I took like a
Yeah.
month and a half, it looks a little more. It looks a
Yeah,
little more.
it's getting bigger. It's going to the left, too.
Yeah, towards
the solar field.
That's a big hill, though.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, the gun club had an issue last couple of years with the beaver dam across Route 3 letting go.
Yeah.
And really wiped out a lot of.
Scoured that whole.
It scoured the whole thing. It wiped out their fish pond. It did a number on the fish pond.
Yeah.
So I think before this gets out of hand, we need to do something with this.
So can we talk with that beaver deceiver guy and see what we can do
Sure.
about that?
I mean, this looks like, just from this photo, looks like it's a good candidate.
It's at least 2 feet high, it might be 3 feet high.
Yeah, it's about, I'd say 3.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, I'll give them a call.
And they're working on it because you can see the trees chewed up and the stuff on the ground right beside.
Oh, yeah, then
So
they're active.
They're still working on
And
it.
there's a second one on the downside of the brook.
Right.
Of the bridge. So there's this one on the upstream side, but if you go to you don't see it in the pictures here,
No.
but on the downstream side, there's another dam there, and that one's maybe a foot or,
Yeah,
so it's
that's,
not nearly as big.
it's probably a foot or so.
But when you look at the bridge, the water at the bridge is pretty high. It's
Right.
like, oh, boy.
And the last time that one across Route 3 went,
Yeah.
it pushed the bridge off its foundation a little bit.
That's a
And
heavy
you
bridge.
heard all the
Yeah.
people over there,
Yeah.
all the way down.
Oh, yeah, went through Scotty Hollow and did a
Scotty
job on their
Hollow, all the
place.
way back,
Yeah,
all the
the-
way down across.
I mean,
You heard everybody.
The rumor, though, and I mean, there's no definitive proof, I guess. The rumor is that that the property owner tried to clear. That was a dammed culvert. And the
Right.
property owner tried
Right.
to clear it, and that's when it gave way.
Right,
It
and there
didn't-
was a lot of water behind it.
Yeah, but it didn't give away. It didn't give way on its own.
Somebody helped it.
But it was a catastrophic
It was.
event.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a slow break.
Right.
And it was like 4
I
in the
saw
morning or
it
something.
right
because-
after I saw it,
Yes.
and it was amazing, the amount of water that went through there.
But that's not going to happen with this one if no one tries to muck around with it.
It wouldn't be that
Eventually.
kind of catastrophic.
What's that?
Eventually,
Nah,
I don't think so.
usually they just break. Anything else at Deep Brook?
No,
What's next? I think there was a cranberry bog. Yeah, so do you have that? So we had a nice big pine that went down on the
Yes.
one of the side trails, and the crew got out there, and if you can, yeah, this was the time time lapse video.
Busy as beavers.
Yeah, busy as beaver. Yeah.
Boy, that's easy.
They had their coffee.
they're not throwing it in the water, though.
It was blocked, and then it's cleared. There we
Wow.
go. All right, thanks. Some fun.
You want to see the other one?
Sure, yeah. So there was a tall, dead snag right in the middle of the trail, and they put some lines on it and gave it a tug and got out of the way, and I think it's slow motion if I'm not mistaken. There it goes. Boom. It just exploded. That's how dead it
Yep,
was. It
yeah.
just slow, super slow motion.
Why's that all scarred up on the bottom?
Probably a beaver gnawed tree.
Yeah.
I heard they weren't our friends.
They're not your friend, that could have killed somebody. Remember that.
Plus, they don't like pines. They don't like old.
No, they
pines
don't like pines.
So thanks
They
to
like
Dave Sperry
poplar?
for those videos. Thanks very much.
Poplar and oak.
All right, let's keep moving. That's the cranberry bog. I think there's one or two more pictures on the slide deck. That one's the cleared. That was a big pine. That was last Monday. I think they
was.
cleared that.
So that come down in a windstorm? Was that-
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Was it dead? Do you know?
It was dead.
It was.
I
dead.
think so, yeah.
So
Yeah.
probably
I can
some
tell by
owl.
looking at it, it was dead.
Look toast.
Yeah.
An owl probably lost its home.
All right, next one, I think, David, I think is it, yeah, we got that one. That was the cleanup.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, right reservation. So we did get, in November, I think it was, we rerouted the trail that we talked about quite a while ago, that was going around the end of the stone wall, but it was in a brook. And so we said, well, let's just punch it through the stone wall and not have a trail, not have a bridge in the brook. So that was done. That was actually a fair amount of work, but we moved, speaking of moving rocks, we moved a few rocks. We did get the Historical Commission approval on that. And to call it a stone wall was being generous. As you can see, that's more a semi-organized pile of stones, but it's not really a wall. But anyway, that trail's been rerouted, and I think there's one more picture, or not, maybe not. Oh, yeah, and that was one of the walkways. So we're doing a lot of upgrades at Wright Reservation on these kinds of walkways, replacing either the whole walkway in some cases, or just the boards if the underlying structure is still pretty good. But some of them, the deck boards are in tough shape. The big long one that was built 20-something years ago, we started replacing a few boards and said, well, those were the bad ones, and then we got those done, and then it's like, well, there's still some bad ones, and we did more, and still some bad ones. Every time you do it, you see some more bad ones.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we got 30 left to go to do 32 to get them all done, so we're gonna get them all replaced. So, all
You're
right.
using the tubes?
No, this is just replacing the decking.
This one's just the decking.
The
there's no-
understructure
nothing
and all
under-
that we left alone. So it's, we pop off the top deck board and put another one on, so. The other thing at Wright I wanted to mention is that the DPW removed a large rock that was in the parking lot, protruding into the parking lot, especially as you exited. And it was the bane of anyone pulling out of there over the years, and they did a nice job getting rid of it and smoothing it over. It's really nice. The only problem is that right now, that parking lot, I was there this afternoon, it is a beautiful ice skating rink. It's, the trails are nice. The trails look like that. They're, you go out in the woods and it's fine. In the parking lot, it's like, oh my goodness, I got to wear skates out, here in the parking lot. But that'll go away. It's fine. And I know we had mentioned about that we had an ATV visitor on that site, and everything I can see, that seems to be quiet right now. I'm not seeing any indication. I haven't talked to Amy lately, but I don't think, I don't think they've been back, so. And then finally, let's talk about the Coulis update, Bill.
Yeah, Coulis is, they've been working almost every weekend since the fall, doing, well, after the last meeting, we approved that trail extension around the vernal pool, and they were out there the next day and working on it. And they got a good start on it, a good jump on it, and it looks nice. And it's not all the way around the vernal pool yet. It's going to end up being in the parking area where you first drive in, the little half circle is going to come out there. But they're doing a nice job with that trail, and they also extended it going up Pine Hill Road, and it actually comes out near the houses up Pine Hill Road. So it's more of a trail that we're not going to mark.
Local access.
A local access trail for the neighbors.
Good.
But they've been doing a lot of work on that. The kids have been using the sledding hill when they could that one snowstorm, and they had quite a few people over there sledding. It worked out good. They found the people doing the volunteer work, saw some areas where it needed to be some of the brush needed to be pulled up more and a little more work to it. And there was somebody out there this weekend doing work on that. And also, the DPW dropped off an excavator about a month ago, and they've been working regularly up there. They were up there today pulling boulders out, and some of these boulders are huge, 8 foot by 6 foot. I mean, huge boulders. So they've got most of that field on the right side. I mean, I'm sorry, on the left side, pretty much clear of the boulders that were bothering cutting the grass and just a nuisance. So they're still working on that. They're doing a great job. And we really appreciate the DPW for doing that for us. But they've got an excavator on site, and when they get a chance, they go up there when they can see the rocks, and they've been pulling them out. They fill a hole in. You can't even tell that there was a rock there.
What are they doing with the rocks?
Some of the rocks are going to truck out, and we're going to discuss this. Some of the rocks are almost too big they're more of an eyesore than anything, so we'll see what we can do with those.
Split them.
Maybe bury them.
Bring them to Mark's house.
Right. But no, the DPW is doing a great job. Huh?
Sell them as antique rocks.
Yeah. All right. You buy the first one.
Not me.
The other thing was that, Terry, we did have somebody doing donuts in the parking lot.
Yeah, we had somebody doing donuts probably a month ago, maybe. A kid's going up there doing donuts in the parking lot, and he wiped out one of the new trees that was planted right near where the granite sign is going to go. So I talked to somebody on DPW, and they're going to replace it this summer, this spring. So that was a problem.
And
But
we'll put some kind of barrier.
yeah, I'll
rocks
put
up
something
there.
to keep them from
I
hitting.
don't know if we can find any rocks anywhere.
Well, I think once the sign's in too, there won't be. I think once the sign goes in,
Yeah, it'll
take that issue
You wouldn't
away.
want to be doing donuts near the sign.
No. And the other thing, that new trail that I was discussing near the vernal pool, that windy storm that knocked a lot of those trees down, knocked a bunch of trees down in that area, and they went out there and cleared all those trees out. So there's a lot of work being done regularly on that site, even through the winter. And like I said, DPW's phenomenal help.
Is there any news on the granite sign?
I'm sorry?
Is there any news on the granite sign?
Yeah, it's half done. I told them it's got to be in the ground early spring, so they know.
After
What
this-
about
We
my
just
piece
ran
of
out of
granite?
time with the frosts to put it in this year.
Bill, what about my piece of granite?
That's
All
coming
right,
after.
Oh, yeah, it's coming after?
Let's keep moving. So, one more picture there is just, I think it's just showing that speaking of Putnam Brook and Warren Pole and the water, the water's high there. I was there Sunday, yeah. And I was like, whoa, I haven't seen it that high in a long time, but, between the droughts and just whatever. So that's as high as I've seen it in quite a while, so it's nice to see that. And, good, so, all right.
The funding for the fence and guardrail.
Oh, so, we are on the agenda for the CPC meeting on Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. Today?
Good.
No, a week from tomorrow. So I don't anticipate any issue there, so. It should be, it's, what was it, 13, 14,000, something like that?
14.4,
For
I
split
think.
rail,
Yeah,
split
something
rail
like that,
fence, yeah. And you said that they're ready to go even in the winter,
Yeah,
so.
that's what I said.
God bless them. Whatever, okay. Agents report, the grant application, we talked about that with the Beatles.
Yeah, so that's in, waiting to hear an answer on that. And speaking of right reservation and Warren Poll, I'm working on a grant application, a Mass Trails grant application to survey essentially the entire southwest to northeast southern boundary of Warren Poll for marking the property boundary toward creating a trail there that connects to Wright and then goes all the way up, and maybe we'll eventually cross Putnam Brook into the parking area. We'll see. This is just to fund the marking of the property line, this grant application.
Yep. And there's a few other benefits to doing that. It helps with CR control, and it helps with, you and I were out there, we were noticing some trees, I think some hickory trees that look like they're on a neighbor's property, but when you do the GIS view, it's like, I think they're on our property.
Well, and there's that huge butternut.
Yeah, and the butternut, maybe that's what I was thinking, the butternut.
It'd be really nice to know where that's located.
Yeah, so it'll be good to get that well-defined, yeah. Because historically, it's always been, go by the stone walls, but this was like, no, the GIS makes it look like it's way over beyond that, so. We'll see. Don't trust the GIS too much. It's very good, but it's not perfect.
Right.
All right. Meeting minutes.
I
had
just
something
one other thing. So, I mean, on the wetland and regulation review bylaw and regulation review committee, I mean, we have talked. We did talk about submitting a warrant article for this annual town meeting to revise the bylaw to add a buffer zone to bordering land subject to flooding. So I think we want to go ahead with that. I'm planning on speaking with Paul about seeing if town council can draft that warrant article, and it shouldn't be too difficult. So it's probably something the Conservation Commission should formally vote on, to go forward with. I can certainly put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Let's make it an agenda item, but
Okay.
I'm pretty confident we've tacitly agreed to that already, but we should formally vote on it.
Okay.
Put it in the minutes, or in the agenda.
There,
It'd be good to have Chris here too.
Yes.
For that.
there's also the meeting related to the bylaw review. There was an unanswered question about rainfall and flooding. And long story short, a couple of us are meeting with DPW
Tony, yeah.
next week to get their
Yep.
engineers' take
So,
on.
so that'll be good to have that meeting before
Right.
our meeting, yeah, okay.
But there's no action item yet because we're not really sure what makes sense.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you both. And now meeting minutes. So we are swimming in meeting minutes. So we.
Make a motion.
Yeah, looking for the
approve
October
October
14th. So motion from Mark on October 14th.
Second.
Second from Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. October 28th. Make sure of attendance here on voting here.
Everybody's here.
Everybody's here for everything? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I have a motion on the 28th. I know those two, we got them ahead of time, right? All of them we got ahead of time because Vivian sent them a few days ago, but I don't know that all of them came on Friday's email, right? From you? Did all four come from you Friday?
I may not have sent the 9th.
Yeah, but I know Vivian sent it a couple days ago, so we've had a couple days to look at it.
So the other three, the 14th, the 28th, and the 25th, I definitely sent with the agenda.
So I'll take a motion on the 28th.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for October 28th.
Motion from Ally, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from John, all in favor on the
Aye.
28th? Aye. Okay, and then next one is the 25th of November. So this was the, we got Old Westford Road. Oh, that was the fire station, right, okay. Yep. Take a motion on that one?
Make a motion to approve the November 25th meeting minutes.
Motion from Ally on the 25th, second from Mark, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the last one. December
Make a
9th.
motion.
Yep, so this is, we talked about
December
Proctor
9th.
Road. Yep, that was our last meeting, okay.
Approve
Motion.
the December 9th meeting minutes.
Motion from Mark to approve the December 9th minutes.
Second?
Second from Ally. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. We are caught up, and we had a nice, I think, easy minutes night tonight. I'm not
Does
planning.
it bother you that it takes all that time to type it all up, we approve it like that?
In the matter of
The only
minutes.
human AI left.
Don't rub it in, Mark.
Take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Second. Second.